Hello, wonderful women. If this is your first time tuning in, this is my new podcast about finding love and starting a family at the age of 43. And this is a very exciting moment because it's my first interview
Oh,
on
I
the
didn't realize that.
podcast. And I reached out to friends and family to see if there were women in there who found love and had kids in their 30s and 40s. And my wonderful cousin, actually, my mom's cousin once removed, Debbie, who is the original person who found love in their 30s
The
and
original person.
the original person in my life agreed to come talk to me. So I couldn't think of a better person to kick off my interviews with. Thank you so much for being here, Cousin Debbie.
Oh, well, I hope it's what you want.
It is what I want. And also, I will just add that you are a pro because you are about to marry off your two daughters as
I
well.
married off one. Now number two is on the way. That's right. That's right.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, it's
So,
exciting.
yeah, it's so exciting. So just, I guess I just kind of wanted to start out at the beginning. Before you met your husband, Mike, where were you at in your life? Had you been really wanting to meet someone, or did you just start searching? Was there any kind of changes that were going on in you in terms of how you thought about partnership and family?
I mean, I could talk for hours at this. I
Sure.
remember clearly, but I was very focused on my career. I had moved around. I was with IBM. I had a couple of, I would say, serious relationships, and I thought both of them were going to end up where I wanted them to end up, and they didn't. And I was living in Boston, and no, actually New York and Boston, and I definitely wanted to have a family. And I actually remember vividly, I was telling this to your mom, being with her in New York City and seeing a mother with a stroller going by, and I would get a little bit teary. I definitely wanted children. And I wanted to meet the right guy, and I just didn't. And I was dating pretty actively, meeting a lot of different people. We didn't have online back then, but I even did a personal ad once, which was a disaster. But I dated people and had fun and went to parties and did ski houses and beach houses and had a pretty good social life, but wasn't really finding the right guy. And I was trying, and I did think that if it didn't happen, I would do something on my own. But anyway, so and then I guess I was my early 30s, and I was at a period of my life. I was a manager with IBM, and I was having these guys were asking me out to lunch here and there, and I would never know if it was they wanted to hire me or if they wanted to partner with me or if it was a personal thing. It was hard to tell, and you really can't come right out and say, what's the purpose of the lunch, And I'd be looking at them like, he's kind of cute. But usually it was a work thing, and that was fine. And Mike and I knew each other professionally. He was a nice guy. He would send me congratulations notes here and there if I got promoted or something happened. And, but it was purely professional. And then we ended up doing a business deal together that didn't really actually turn out very well, but we ended up learning that we both liked windsurfing. And so at one point, he asked me if I wanted to go sailing. And this is a long story. I'll tell you the longer story. It's a good story. He asked me if I wanted to go sailing, and I said, sure, sure. I put it on the calendar, and then the date approaches, and I'm like, oh, geez, I didn't want to go. It's like, but I kind of have to
Not
go.
attracted to him? Are you
Yeah,
just
I was like, I thought it was a business thing. I'm like, do I really want to go? But I felt like I had to. And so um, he he called me up and he left me a voicemail, and he said, it's going to be a beautiful weekend. Why don't we make a weekend out of it? It's like, oh my God, he's a mover. This is horrible. What am I going to do? So I said, no, I'm going to take my own car. I'll do this. I'll go on the boat. We'll windsurf. And then I made other plans for the weekend. I was going to go we were on Cape Cod. I was going to go to Newport, Rhode Island. I actually had a date with another guy. I was going to see Karen Wish at the time, and everything was good. So I get there, and he's like, do you want to windsurf? And I was like, I'm not really feeling great. I don't want you to go to the hassle of setting it all up and then I won't do it. And he said, I don't mind. I have a 13-year-old daughter and do this all the time. And if you don't, I'll set it up. And if you don't want to windsurf, you don't have to. I'm like, that's kind of nice. So then I actually windsurfed and he took the dinghy, came out, gave me water, gave me grapes. I was like,
Oh,
that's kind of nice. And then he gave me lunch. I was like, that's kind of nice. It was a beautiful day. And he said, if you want, I have steak and blah, blah, blah. You can stay on the boat if you want. I was like, that's interesting. But so here's the thing, and this is for the world to know. I was like, I didn't know if he was married or not married. I didn't know what the deal was. And I
sure.
was like, I didn't know what to do. And we didn't have cell phones back then. So I said, I have to go to shore because I wanted to call my mom and get advice.
Hmm.
And I said, Mom, I'm on a boat with a guy. It's a beautiful weekend, not feeling well, but I'm supposed to leave to see blah, 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 Newport. It's about an hour and a half drive. She said, I don't want you driving in the night when you're not feeling well. Stay on the boat, but find out if he's married. I'm like, okay, good plan. So
Did you
I did.
often ask your mother dating advice, or was that kind of a first
Yeah,
try?
we were very close. Yeah. Yeah. I would say, yeah. So anyway, I stayed on the boat. He was a perfect gentleman. Got up in the morning, windsurf, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so that was so. And then I had a business meeting in Connecticut, and he sent a basket of fruit. Very nice. So I was like, this is interesting. So anyway, so he turns out he was separated, but I didn't know he was recently separated, and he'd been married, 20 something years, and got married young. And then we were really the opposite. He was 10 years older, very, very different as far as our backgrounds. I had been dating tons of people. He had dated like hardly anybody. And so we started seeing each other, and he was moving very, very quickly to the point where it really scared me. And he was talking about even marriage. I'm like, you don't talk about that, it was scaring me a little bit.
Were
And
you
so
dating other guys at the same time, or kind of?
I don't remember that part. Maybe, maybe not. I don't even remember that, but I do remember saying it was moving too quickly and I needed to continue seeing other people, and I was going to keep going to parties and doing things and not see him for a little while. And he said um, something to the effect of, I found what I want and I'll wait. And I was like, wow, that's unusual. So anyway, so I did my thing, and this was like August. And then in December, I was at a Christmas party, and I was like, I'm done with all this stuff. I'm going to give it a shot. And I did. And then, we got married like 3 years later. And so and it's worked out. I married a good guy, and I also knew he was a good dad, which was really important to me. And I immediately asked him if he was interested in having kids, because I'm always stunned at the people that get married and then realize that one wants kids and I'm like, didn't you talk about this? For me, it was top of mind. If he wasn't interested, and he had 2 kids already, so it's a lot of work. So he was definitely open to it. And more than open to it, excited about it. And so it's been great. We've had a great partnership. It's 32 years, and we have a lot in common. And I'm glad I didn't end up with some of the guys that I thought I wanted to be with, because the life of the party isn't always the best supportive guy. And he's always been super supportive to me with everything I've wanted to do, whether it's work or hobbies, or like right now I play pickleball and he doesn't, and he'll sit and read the paper while I'm playing. Like, he's very supportive and he's a good guy. And so I feel like I chose well.
I think you did choose well, indeed. I'm wondering about, for my own sake, because sometimes I think like maybe if I change something in myself, like what I'm looking for or the way I vet men or something, that then it'll be easier for me to find a relationship. When you were right before you started to date Mike, do you feel like you changed your attitude or thoughts around dating at all? Or is it just you met enough people that you finally met the right guy?
I think it was twofold. One of my aunts, who's on my father's side, actually said, "What are you looking for?" I think you have to be a little bit more open-minded about what you're looking for, and also realize, and it was a big thing, that the men that make the best husbands are not the ones that you're necessarily,
Gonna
the
take the bed
the
with
bad guys are sometimes more attractive than the
you.
good guys, and you have to think about that a little bit. And and in fact, I have a friend who said, I'm looking for someone like Mike, because Mike is a good guy. And so anyway, I think I had to be open a little bit more about what I was looking for. And What was the second part of the question? Did I change? Yeah,
So you changed it. Yeah, so you became open. I mean, did you actually end up making that list of things that you wanted in a husband?
no, I I don't think I ever did. I mean, I wanted someone that had a good job, and I wanted someone that, but I wanted someone to support me. And that was the thing that was missing in a lot of the guys I was going out with my age. I was very driven and doing well. And there was a competition almost with the guys, and they weren't necessarily looking at that time. Maybe things are different today. They weren't looking for a peer partner. They wanted someone that was going to support them in their career and be there for them, and also worship them. And I wasn't in that mode.
No, not at
I
all.
was looking for someone that was going to support me and be my partner.
You know, one thing that you talk about, which kind of strikes me as something that's changed a lot, unfortunately, is that you were able to go on these dates with people that you worked with and did business deals with. Whereas I think now it's a little bit more challenging because workplace relationships are kind of looked down upon, or there's concerns about
Well, it
sex.
wasn't, I never worked at the same place.
Oh, okay.
He was a, he wasn't even really a client. We had a very, he was another, he worked for an entire different company, and we occasionally we crossed paths, but there was really no, it was different.
Yeah, I see. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you did this inner work, I guess, where you started to become more open to the idea of finding someone who would be a good supportive husband rather than just the hottest guy on the block. You had your fun and you were ready to create a family together. Um, and I guess I'm just curious, kind of just strategically. I think this is something that you and I really share in common is that we like to go about our life strategically. And do you think that there were any strategies that were effective for you in terms of meeting people like Mike or people who more fit that bill of husband?
No, I think it was just, I wasn't looking for Mike. It just happened, but I was out there doing stuff. And people don't do that anymore. And it's all online, which seems to work. Everybody I know that's met someone has met them online. But I just think, friends are friends, and doing things that you like and meeting people that have similar interests. I mean, I think that's the one thing that Mike and I share is we are literally together 24/7, which is a lot, but we like the same things. We bike, we kayak, we work out together. We do, he's not off golfing with the boys where I'm doing, mahjong. Like, we're doing pretty much, I have a few things I do on my own. He does a few things on his own, but most of the stuff we're doing together. And I think that's really important, is finding people that truly like to do the things that you like to
And of
do.
course, I wash the dishes.
And he washes the
And
dishes.
he washes the dishes. The knight in shining armor right there in the background.
I cook though, so yeah. But
What are some of the challenges, if any, that you've seen your daughters face along their dating path? And what advice have you given them that's been helpful?
I would say there have been a couple situations where I would see that the person wasn't supporting my daughter as I expected them to be. And I'm talking about Kelsey, and I will say that Steve is there for her and is 100% behind her, and Sahej too for Kendall, which I'm happy to see. But making whoever it is, making your daughter or friend or whatever the most important thing in their life, and just being there for them.
Hmm. I love that. And I think that when you tell your story about Mike, there are just some very early signs, even on that first date, that he was going to be supportive. The way that he invited you to come and said, every single stage he was offering an invitation and not pushing, and treating you to a nice experience and nice food and comfort and space at every step of the way. So it was possible to detect that very early on.
And food is my weakness, that's
Oh.
my heart. And actually, a funny thing, at our year anniversary, I wore my wedding dress, and he made me the same lunch that he made me that day, which is cute.
So sweet.
Our signature meal, it's nothing special. It's like the fake fish, like the seafood salad. It's nothing special, but it was, yeah. Anyway.
So this question of kind of changing your focus from just looking to the guy you're most attractive to actually focusing on finding a good husband. I find that
And
and
father, future
father
father. That was very important.
and supporter. I find that it's an area where I'm almost, I don't know how to describe this, but I kind of feel like my actions are at war with my logic, in that my logic says, well, I should really just be looking for people who are kind and would be good providers and good husbands. And I think there are quite a lot of men out there who might be interested, but then I keep swaying towards, well, I don't, he's too fat, he's too thin. I just don't like the face shape of his face, and
I know, it's hard. No, no.
I feel sad that get so hung up on those things. And I mean, I feel so superficial. And also, I feel unhappy that I'm standing in my own way from finding the happiness that I seek. Because I know that when I've, been connected to someone, they start to look, amazing, and I feel attracted to them. So I wonder if you might have any advice for me on how psychologically to step over that hurdle in myself.
Well, just give them a chance, I guess, is see what happens. And if they make you laugh and you have a good time, maybe they'll start looking better. You know what I mean? You know,
That's
um,
true. That's true. That's right. That's all it is just take a chance. It doesn't hurt to exchange one text message or
yeah.
anything
I
like
mean, back in the day before online dating, I mean, I'm still convinced that there's some of the guys that you really want aren't, they're busy, they're working. They're not at in the old days, they're not at the bar. That's not the guy you want anyway. And
that.
then I think, sometimes guys like, oh, I'm 35, time for me to get married and have a kid. And then they go out on 2 dates and I'm like, okay, found her,
No.
done. No, it's a lot of it, I think, is timing,
That is
to be
such a guy
honest.
thing.
I do think that there's a timing factor, and some people are just ready and some people aren't ready. And um, but just, the guys you want are probably more elusive to find, I think.
It's true too. It's a needle in a haystack. And I think that, when I look around myself at, there are only a few examples I know of very happy long-term partnerships, such as the one of you and Mike. My friend Shireen has a really beautiful relationship with her husband. I mean, I can kind of count them on my fingers. And so I just think I have to recognize that what I'm looking for is rare, and that's why it might be a bit harder to find, perhaps.
And also, I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't thinking at 30 years old that I was looking for a guy who was 40 with like a 11-year-old and a 13-year-old. I mean, I was like, was ready to go on. I mean, we did some vacations with the kids and I was pretty young still, but to be honest, that's worked out great. We have a great, blended family. Michelle was the officiant at Kelsey's wedding and very close with the grandkids. So it's all worked out really well, but that really wasn't my plan. But I'm very grateful that it's worked out the way it has. Um,
So
so
you've enjoyed being the stepmom. I don't know if
oh,
that's what you mean.
no, I have. It's been great. We're all very close.
How, if at all, has marriage been different than what you imagined it would be?
Well, I wasn't a big fan of the institution because if you remember, or maybe you don't remember, you don't know, but my parents did not have a very good marriage. And my dad yelled and screamed a lot, and my mom we left him, and I was totally in support of that. And everybody's like, oh, don't you want your parents to get back? I'm like, no, do not want them to get back. It was the best thing that ever happened. I'm glad she left. She should have left when I was 5. But so one of the things that was important to me is I didn't want that kind of marriage. I didn't want to marry someone that was a yeller and screamer. I wanted someone that was calm, and Mike is definitely a gentle guy. He doesn't yell. In fact, he'll walk away, which is also another problem. It's like, where are
Sure.
you going? But he doesn't yell and scream. I would not have been able to tolerate a yeller and screamer because I grew up with that. So I didn't have a real good view of marriage, to be honest. Maybe that's why it took so long. And if it wasn't for the kid thing, maybe I would have never gotten married, to be honest. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think that you are right. In my situation, as you know, my dad left before I was born. Our few interactions have been pretty negative, and I think that sometimes I feel like I almost don't have anything to react against, right? There's nothing to go the opposite of, like, oh, I had a dad who was mean, so I'll have a dad who is kind. It's just there was no dad at all. So I almost kind of think that my husband is supposed to be some type of movie star or something rather than a real person. And so this is why also conversations like this are good, because it can give me more of a sense of like what a good man actually is like, the kind
And
of
I'll say one other thing. Don't be afraid of the guy that's been married, divorced, or whatever. In fact, I think that's to my advantage in a
mm,
lot of ways. And it's funny, in my condo, there are so many people that are on like their third marriage already, and I'm still on my first. Well, that's because I got married late, maybe. But I think in some ways, they know what they're looking for and what they're not looking for. And you know,
he's practiced.
he practiced and he knew what he had and he knew what he was looking for. And sometimes, I'm a little bit the opposite of his ex-wife. And I was like, hey, you had it that way. Now you have it this way, it is
Yeah.
what it is, right? But
Your mom used to say the story about how she told Mike he caught the butterfly.
yeah, maybe.
She used to love to tell that story.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And she loved him and he loved her. They were very close.
Hmm. Okay, well, you've known me for quite a while, 43 years. Do you have any advice for me just in kind of in the times you've seen me try to navigate this? I mean, this is something I've been wanting for a really long time.
I actually didn't know that,
Oh,
to
you
be
did. I
no.
feel like I
I
talk
never
about it
really
all
asked
the
you.
time. So
I never really asked about that. So I did not know.
that's really refreshing because I feel like I just complain about it all the time and
No,
people
I
in
did
the
not
family
know.
think of it as like my issue. Yeah, I mean, I just ever since I was a little girl, I always just wanted to be a mother, and I always kind of dreamed of my Prince Charming coming. Like when I left Montessori, I went to middle school, the thing I was most excited about was meeting boys. And then I was so disappointed because I didn't date. I felt like nobody liked me. All my friends had boyfriends. And then I went on to college and I still didn't have a boyfriend. And then by the time I graduated college, I was just so embarrassed that I hadn't lost my virginity. I felt like there was something so incredibly wrong with me. I didn't even realize that other people had lost their virginity later. And then I kind of just lost it in a one night stand, not special at all, just because I just kind of wanted to get rid of that thing. And then like it just seems like it's been when my 20s I was just so miserable that I didn't have a boyfriend. I was devastated, like in just so much pain. And now, I mean, I've come to a point where I'm just much more grateful and happy for my life. I don't feel in any way that there's something wrong with me, that it's because I'm ugly or unsuccessful. It just, now I think a lot more women are also struggling with the same thing, so that helps. And but I think that it's still kind of this lingering piece because sometimes I feel like, oh, I'll just give up, but then I still know that I want it. So giving up is kind of like repressing what I want. But I've done dating coaches, I've read all these books, I've seen therapists, I've done group therapy, I've gone out and met people, and it just seems like everything only leads to like one or two dates or something. And so that's kind of why I'm doing the podcast now. It's just I just want to surround myself with people who have overcome this obstacle successfully, just to kind of almost model myself after you, and get a felt sense of what that could look like for me.
Well, it's hard, I have to say, but I also will tell you, I can't tell you how many friends I have that got married for the first time in their 40s. I know a lot of people that
Oh,
have
great.
done it. Yeah.
Maybe you
So
can introduce them to me for the podcast.
yeah, I mean, I do know a number of people that have gotten married for the first time. And it does happen.
How did they meet their partners?
I know they were both very active in like whitewater rafting, kind of kayaking, canoeing stuff. I think that's how they met. I don't know. Another one may have been a mutual friend.
Hmm.
And the other one I don't know. But I mean, I'm thinking three came to mind immediately that it was definitely in their 40s. Now they did not have kids. And then I know someone else who she lost her husband, and it was a lot of it's mutual friends.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know. So you've done the dating apps and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and still doing it, I'm always
Exhausting, I'm sure. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not fun. It's a lot more fun to try to go to an event and just meet people at an event. But on the other hand, with the dating apps, you can kind of see everything that's out there and be more choosy, although you just have to sort through a lot of riffraff.
Yeah.
What kind of man do you think would be a good fit for me as a husband?
Um, I don't know. I think someone that's actually, that's smart, someone that likes to travel because you're very worldly. Although Mike was not a traveler at all, and I was, and took me about 20 years to figure that out. But the only way, he only liked boating, so that's what we did. And then one day I discovered that if we boated and traveled together, and now we're actually traveling. Now he also likes biking and traveling. So it took me a long time to figure out how to get him traveling. But yeah, so what else? Back to you. And if you really want to have kids, I mean, someone that wants to have kids.
Yes.
I mean, do you put that out there? I mean, that's probably, would that scare online if we put it out there? But at least you might as well get them. Yeah.
I mean, even though men are very different than women, I think one of my biggest insights that really helped me move forward in dating was realizing that we're not that different. Like just as much as I can want kids, there can be some guy out there who really wants to have kids now. It's not so foreign a concept.
Right.
And we can just meet each other where we are. People share, the same hopes and desires and longings.
Yeah. The other thing I remember telling myself when I was in my 20s and I'd have a serious relationship and then we'd break up and then I'd be like a couple years before the next, I always would tell myself that I had to be happy with myself
Yes.
because people are attracted to happy people. And when I was feeling good about myself, that's when I got more interesting to a lot more people. So I always try to do things that make me happy, and figure out what it is that, makes you happy.
What are the things that make you most happy, Cousin Debbie?
Um, I like doing things, being active. I love to travel. I make my pine needle baskets now. That's kind of very therapeutic for me. Um, Mike and I are very involved with a lot of nonprofit stuff right now. Being with friends, being with the kids, seeing everybody happy. That's makes me happy. When one kid is not happy, I'm not happy. Um, we keep a pretty full calendar. I keep a pretty full calendar. And that's one thing great about Mike is he doesn't keep a calendar. So whatever I want to do is good.
Great
Good for
balance.
him. Yeah, it works out really well. Um, yeah, we've been, we bike. We try to do something, as I said, physical every day, and it's either with a kayak or a bike or something. Um, so just doing things fun. Today we're trying a new restaurant tonight. Got tickets to a show tomorrow. We got the last 2 seats, so they're probably not good seats, but then we're going oystering on Friday with some friends and just trying to keep busy. And then in St. Pete, we're super involved with Habitat for Humanity. We support a house and got people in our condo involved and they got all excited about it. So now our condo's supporting some houses and yeah, we do a couple of things like that and it makes you feel good.
Wonderful. What are your top three favorite things about being married?
I like that I always have someone to play with.
That's great.
I do. I have a good partner and someone to talk to about things. Um, and I guess for us, the good thing is because we've been together so long, it's not like his kids and my kids, we have our kids. So we're all interested in the same, you know, things as far as our kids. And Michelle is hosting Thanksgiving and then Derek comes with his kids and we're trying to get all the kids together and, we're going through a thing, right? Anyway, yeah, we have the same priorities as far as
Yeah.
our family. And he's, to his credit, usually up for anything, which is great.
Mm. So you said that originally you weren't really such a fan of the institution of marriage in general. What do you think now? Why is marriage the way that you chose to go with Mike? Is it legal or is it romantic?
Um, I don't know. Trying to think. I mean, I'm thinking of the girls. I'm glad they're getting married. It shows a commitment.
Mm,
Um, I don't know if something happened to Mike, would I get married again? I don't, probably not, just
mm,
because of all the complications with, everything. But it's nice having a commitment and a partnership that is there for you. And,
mm,
and we didn't really talk about this, but someone that's not going to cheat on you, and you don't have to, I never, ever had to worry about any of that kind of stuff. And I can't imagine living in a marriage where you're worried, you know,
my goodness.
yeah,
I think that there really is something where it gives you this container, and it can, not in all cases, obviously, but give you this safe space of commitment within which you can grow together. It's not just the same as anyone can walk out anytime something goes wrong. You've
right,
decided to solve issues and go through life and be there for each other.
right. And it is fun having someone who likes to do what you like to do. And, um, it's just nice.
So great.
You don't have to get the single supplement. You get the, yeah.
You're such
Although,
an inspiration, really. Like, I feel so charged from this conversation. I really feel like I got some good advice and just encouragement on. I love what you said about just take a chance, right? I mean, I don't, just because I take a chance and go out with someone doesn't mean I have to be
you
attracted
don't
to
have to marry them. I
I
think
don't have to
you don't have
marry
to
them.
marry them. You could
Yeah,
have 5 dates. You still don't have to marry them.
yeah, yeah.
Just check it out. And maybe they have a friend, you don't know.
It's true. It's true. I have to say sometimes I also feel uncomfortable not kissing someone if they feel like they want to kiss me on the first date, or some guys might feel like, oh, she doesn't like me if I don't show that kind of affection on the first date. And recently I've had some experiences where I'm just thinking like, why did I kiss that guy? I was not attracted to him. It was not pleasurable. I just didn't want him to feel bad. So I
Right.
think that's something I have to work on a little bit, like setting up a boundary without being too harsh about it.
Yeah. Well, just say, hey, I want to take it slow. I want to have a friendship first and then see where it goes, kind of thing. Because you shouldn't have to kiss somebody if you're not into it and you're like, ew. You
If
shouldn't
it's
have to do that.
it's not too personal, I mean, like, how did you navigate that when you met your husband? Or did it just did you feel like you had to like push him away, or were you able to
No,
take your time?
because he's from a different generation.
Mm.
He was a total gentleman. Like, didn't make any moves when I slept on the boat, no moves. The only thing I will say, this is going to be public knowledge for the morning we had breakfast, he touched my foot.
Ooh,
Ooh, and I had like a little bit of a spark. I
how
was like,
Victorian.
but that was the only thing. I don't,
Oh,
maybe we hugged goodbye. I don't remember. I can't remember the whole,
so how did your first kiss happen?
to be honest, I don't remember that part. I don't remember the,
Love it.
sorry. I
Like,
don't remember. I don't
I mean,
remember.
like she was wearing a dress of flowers set across the sea.
No, I don't remember, but it must have happened.
Yeah, and you just waited until you were ready.
Yeah.
Mm, so beautiful. Cousin Debbie, you're working on so many amazing causes. In fact, you're going to join something right after our talk. Do you want to share a
Well,
little bit
not right after the talk, but
right after?
tonight,
Yeah, what's going
after
on
dinner.
tonight? Let's share it with all the women listening.
It's, what is it? It's, oh, what did I just? It's the Women's March Mass Call, a meeting for women and feminist allies, the Women's March. And it's probably, I don't know the specifics, but someone told me about it and I've shared it with other people. Let me see if I can find
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll put it in the show notes in case anyone sees it
yeah,
to come.
yeah. I don't even know. Oh yeah, some of my friends are joining, so it's good. Don't really know. It's probably just about reproductive freedom and, now that we have a good potential president in the works.
Ooh,
Um, hopefully we can make some progress there or not regress, I should say, as we are. Yeah,
All right, wonderful. Well, send me the information
I
and
did. I texted it to you already.
I'll
Yeah.
put that in the show notes. If anyone catches this before the event, they can join in. And yeah, are there any other causes or things you want to use this as a platform for to talk about to the women listening?
Um,
I know you're really
I
involved.
mean, we really didn't talk about having a kid by yourself, and I really can't speak to that, although I told you I would have done it.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot having a kid. It's a lot. So it's a lot to take on and financially and emotionally and the whole thing. So it'd be interesting to talk to, well, your mom, she did it. So you
My
can
mom,
talk to her.
I've talked to her a lot about it. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
I think
so,
honestly, being raised by a single mom is where some of my hesitancy having a child on my own comes from. I think it's a bit twofold. I mean, because I saw my mom with 5 jobs, working to support me, and I also, experienced some pain of that. There's a certain dynamic between a single mom and a daughter, and sometimes some reverse parenting that happens. But also, I mean, now we just have such a deep bond, and there is kind of a positive quality too of just not having someone else in the middle. You can really develop a closeness and a level of support and understanding that you don't have otherwise. So I think there's a part of me I think it's always I've seen like, okay, like a marriage, but is the right way to go to have kids? And I want to heal all these generations of single women in my family, my mom, bear hug, great grandmother, and that like the single mom is the wrong way to do things. And I think I've kind of been culturally conditioned that way. But I also see how hard it was for my mom. And there's a fear in me of how would I do this on my own, even though my mom would, of course, be incredibly supportive. So there's that sense of I failed if I do it on my own, and also the fear of it actually being hard. And then there is the positive desire to have a partner and romance and support and all of those good things that are part of building a family. Like I would love to have a child with a man I love. I think that sounds like such a magical thing to do. But life is funny. It doesn't always play out the way you plan. That's for
well, luckily, I mean, people have kids, I don't know, till they're 50. I don't even know what that is now. But,
plenty of time. Plenty
got
of time.
time. You've
Yeah.
got some time.
Yeah.
And it's too bad there's not like a kibbutz or somewhere where you can go and be with a village and,
Yeah, I mean, I think I was just speaking to a woman today, and she was like ready to go off and do IVF and have a baby on her own. And then her longtime on and off boyfriend just decided to have a kid with her. So she had a child at age 43. But her advice to me was just like, go have a baby now, immediately while you can. Like the guy can come afterwards. So we'll see. I mean, I feel grateful that it's an option and it's more socially acceptable and even more affordable in certain parts of the world than it used to be. So we'll see. I feel like on some level I just have to trust that my life is unfolding in the way it is, and it's going to be the best life for me if I embrace it and have gratitude for it.
well, you look great and you sound good. And now I'm going to keep my eyes open. I really didn't know you. I don't know what I didn't know what was that you were actively looking. So
Well, now I'm open to taking a chance. So if you introduce me to someone, I will open my
yeah,
heart to them.
yeah. So you're going to be in Ithaca for a while?
Yeah, I'm actually just here for until the end of the week, and then I'm going back to New York City, and then we'll see.
Okay, well,
So
no, you never know.
you never know. Oh my gosh. Well, this has been so much fun. I can't wait to
That's
share
been
this
fun.
with our family.
Oh my gosh, I hope I made
Yeah, the
sense.
yellow periods. I think you were so articulate. I just appreciate your love and your support and your wisdom and for taking the time to do this. And hopefully it will not only has benefited me, but will benefit other women who are in their 40s who can be encouraged by your awesome story
Yeah,
and
just don't give up on anything because I really I I know so many people that they're on like their third marriage, so that must have happened later, right? I don't even know.
your
But so it's good. So you're waiting for the right guy, you're feeling good, you know who you are. It's better to be where you are than to have gotten married at 20 with the wrong guy, stuck with 4 kids
Oh
and
gosh.
unhappy. And so you're in a good place. You're in
Thank
a better place than if you had all this other stuff. So you've got a lot of experience and you'll be an asset to some person. There he is again. So anyway, just keep feeling good about yourself and just get yourself out there.
Thank you. I love you.
Love you too. All right. Say hi to your mom.
I
Okay.
will.
Bye.